The DI Council met virtually Thursday to iron out details of the landmark legislation, which was delayed in the past. Indianapolis, for a second time in about 3 months, the NCAA is on the brink of granting all college athletes the ability to immediately transfer schools without penalty. The Division I Council, the organization's primary legislative body made up mostly of school athletic administrators, met virtually Thursday to iron out details of the landmark legislation, which reverses a policy from the 1960s. The group is expected to meet April 15 to approve the measure, sources told. Under current transfer rules, athletes in 5 sports, including football and men's and women's basketball, are ineligible in the first year they transfer unless they receive a waiver. The new rule would allow all athletes to move freely at least once, though it includes some stipulations. Athletes must submit notification of transfer by certain dates to be eligible at their next location. Fall and winter sport athletes would have to notify their schools by May 1, with an exception extending the date to July 1 for an end-of-the-year head coaching change or the non-renewal of scholarships. Spring sport athletes would have until July 1. However, Thursday's discussion among DI Council members centered around making the notification dates flexible this year. Sources told NCAA officials have since met once with those at the Department of Justice, Emmert says, and he suggested more meetings are planned. My hope is we can get to a place where we understand their concerns and we can move forward shortly, Emmert said. Later during the news conference, Emmert cited the DI Council's evolving work on the one-time transfer exception, even saying he anticipates it will be passed. Students ought to have that ability to transfer once during their career, and I understand the complexity that creates for coaches and roster management, but I think it is overdue we provide that flexibility, Emmert says. Last October, intra-conference transfers are another sticking point. Many leagues force players to sit a year when moving from one conference school to another. Conferences would have to adjust their own rules to mirror the NCAA's new change. At least at one conference, the ACC, already lifted its intra-conference transfer rule earlier this year. The Pac-12 did so in 2019. Relaxing transfer rules is nothing new. The NCAA has adopted a slew of player-friendly transfer-related changes over the last 2 years. For instance, schools no longer have authority over a player's transfer destination, a change that coincided with the creation of the transfer portal in fall of 2018. Graduating players can now play immediately after transferring within their own conference, and most schools release signees from their letters of intent if a head coach leaves a school before their first semester. The latest change could reverse a long-standing rule adopted NCAA-wide in the early 1960s, one that originated more than a century ago when a group of Ivy League schools agreed to a 1-year sit-out provision for players transferring among them. Under the current policy, players can transfer freely and play immediately in all sports except for baseball, men's and women's basketball, football and men's ice hockey. While many administrators agree to wanting a unified transfer rule, they admit to varying degrees of concerns, most of them stemming from an anticipated spike in transfers. Without a 1-year penalty, players will be more inclined to leave.